Now, just before we bring the evening to the end of this formal stage, I would just like to, if you could bear with me. As a lot of you know, Brigadier Digby O'Loan, our Chief Executive, and our Court Secretary, Mr. Peter Patrick, are retiring, both of them this year. As I'm sure a lot of you know, they've both been outstanding and loyal custodians of the company. Digby became our Chief Executive on July the 1st, 2000, and Peter Patrick on January the 1st, 1999, he took over the job as Court Secretary. During those years, they have helped guide us through many events, developments, and what is best described as happenings. These include the presentation of colours, the Royal Charter for the Light Cavalry, Open Day and Queen's Jubilee in 2002, Prince Philip joining us for the 50th anniversary of his becoming a member. The Albert Room development was a make-or-break development representing a bold decision by the court, which then needed to be managed through to completion. Digby, as we all know, managed this perfectly, and I report now that it makes a positive contribution to our finances. A lot of you may remember the terrible tube bombings in 2005. At that time, the artillery grounds were commandeered and formed part of the, shall I say, sort of area for, unfortunately, the bodies and everything else.
The mortuary.
And this, unfortunately, caused quite a financial burden on the company because a number of money-making events had to be sacrificed. I don't know about a lot of you, but I've always found when I go to Armoury House, and I don't go there very often, but I used to go at least 2 or 3 times a year, you could always go into Digby's office, and even if he was on the telephone or looked as though he was busy, he'd always have a moment for you, chat to you, ask you how you were doing, etc., etc. He's a man, I think, who one could describe as just a pleasant person. I know personally, Barbara and I have hosted a couple of St. George's Day dinners, and going there, he was, I remember one time, the first time, he came out, now how many of these prints do you want? And admittedly he was giving me some prints that they obviously weren't selling. He didn't have it. He still gave me the prints. Do you want this? Do you want that? And when I came out of Armoury House, in fact I think I had to buy a new suitcase to bring all the stuff back. To me that was Digby. He was a different, one could say, person to his predecessor, Brigadier Michael Bray. They were different characters, but both effective in their jobs. Now, Peter, if those that you know him, he has an absolute wonderful gift for writing papers and explaining matters in simple terms. He's always had the interests of the company at heart, I think, which has led on occasions to him putting people's backs up. He has a good sense of humour, and I think if you read in the current journal, his final is very amusing and I think quite poignant. I am proposing next week to write a letter to both of them on our behalves, advising him that we did acknowledge their contribution to the company over many years. And thanking them on behalf of everybody here. So gentlemen, I would like you to be upstanding and to give silent fire to those 2 gentlemen.